So we had floated this numerical to be solved by students at home. And for the circuit shown here, it was asked find the maximum value of R to ensure SCR turn on. And there are two cases which were mentioned. The first case was assume as SCR to be ideal, and second was recalculate the value of R using the datasheet of SCR TYN612 given V on, that is on state voltage drop, is 1.6 volt, and R on, that is on state resistance, is 30 milli ohm. So anybody who has attempted to solve this numerical and found the value of R for both the cases? If anybody has attempted and found the value, you can tell, otherwise I will anyways solve. Okay. So here the details which are given in the numerical are the battery voltage is 100 volt. The latching current of the SCR is given as 50 milliampere, and a firing pulse of duration 50 microsecond is applied to the gate terminal. The load is a parallel combination of two branches. The first branch has 20 ohm in series with 0.5 Henry, and this series combination is shunted by a value of R whose value is not known, and we are expected to find the value of R such that the SCR will be turned on or latched. So let us see what is to be done here. So as we have already we have solved numericals of this type, the first trick for this is that for the duration of the gate pulse, the SCR is assumed to be acting as a closed switch or a short circuit. This is the basic trick which we have to use in all numericals of this type. Solution. So given in 100 volt, the duration of firing pulse is 50 microsecond, which is equal to 50 into minus 6 seconds into 10 raised to minus 6. R is 20 ohm, L is 0.5 Henry. Okay, fine. So we can say R dash here because we already have used R. And latching current given is 50 milliampere. And R dash is unknown. To ensure or latching. Okay. So the SCR during the presence of firing pulse. The SCR during the presence of firing pulse must be replaced as follows. Now I am going to write something which is in addition to what I have written before. The SCR during presence of firing pulse must be replaced as follows. The first case is if SCR is ideal, replace it by short circuit, that is like this. Follows. Second, if SCR is non-ideal, replace it by this thing, okay, V on in series with R on, okay. So the SCR during the presence of firing pulse must be replaced as follows. If SCR is ideal, replace it with short circuit. If SCR is non-ideal, you replace it with V on in series with R on, okay, this thing. That is what we are going to do today. So both these statements will be implemented here, okay. Another important thing is, if the circuit current I of t is equal to IA, reaches the value of latching current during time t equal to the duration of firing pulse, then SCR will latch, else not. This is also another rule which we have seen till now. So now let us solve it, okay. So understand this thing, that we can write down something here. We can say that if IA is greater than or equal to IL for T equal to TP, that is a condition, okay. So understand students, that the current flowing through this branch must be equal to or greater than 50 milliamperes, only then the SCR will latch. And here understand one thing, that this particular latching current will be shared by two currents, that is I1 and I2, okay. Let us solve now. Case number 1. SCR is ideal, okay. So we can say, redrawing the circuit for the duration T equal to TP equal to 15 to 10 is to minus 6 seconds. For case number 1, SCR is ideal. Replace it with short circuit. I. Okay. So to ensure SCR latching I should be equal to IL should be equal to 50 milliampere. Now let us see that because of the presence of inductance of 0.5 Henry in series with 20 ohm, how much does this inductance allow the current to rise from 0? Okay, so second condition, find value of I1 of t. So I1 of t is equal to V over R into 1 minus e raised to minus t into R over L. Okay, I1 during the pulse duration is equal to E in upon R into 1 minus e raised to minus pulse duration into R upon L, which is equal to 100 upon 20 into 1 minus e raised to minus 50 into 10 raised to minus 6 into 20 upon 0.5. Okay, so this comes out to be 5 into 1 minus e raised to minus. So this is 50 into 10 raised to minus 6 into 40, because 20 upon 0.5 is 40. So this comes out to be 2 into 10 raised to minus 3. So it is E1 minus e raised to minus 0.002, which comes out to be 5 into 1 minus, so e raised to minus 0.002. It's 0.998. 0.998, which is equal to comes out to be 0.01 amperes, that is 10 milliamperes, right? So the value of I1, has reached 10 milliamperes during the firing pulse duration of 50 microseconds. Now students, it's very simple mathematics. I want this to be 50 milliamperes. The current, the value of I1 attained is 10 milliamperes. So in order to maintain this at 50 milliamperes, then I2 has to be equal to 40 milliamperes. Okay, so in order for the 50 milliamperes current to flow through the SCR, to keep it latched, if the inductive branch has attained a value of 10 milliamperes, then remaining 40 milliamperes must flow through R1. Okay, so that is why we write down here, since IA is equal to I1 plus I2 should be equal to 50 milliamperes for latching. Okay, if I1 is equal to 10 milliamperes, during t equal to TP, during t equal to TP is equal to 50 microseconds, then I2 should be equal to 40 milliamperes. Okay, so now we see here that this 100 volt is getting directly applied across R dash. So we can say that the value of R dash is equal to E in upon 40 milliamperes, which is equal to 100 upon 0.04 is equal to 2.5 kilo ohms. This is the answer. So R dash must be equal to 2.5 kilo ohms. This is the answer to the first bit. Okay. Go to case number 2 now. The same kind of calculation, but little difference is there. SCR is non-ideal. Redrawing. Redrawing the circuit during T equal to TP equal to 50 microseconds. Now we are going to use this rule that replace the SCR with V on series R on. So now the calculation will be R dash will now be equal to E in minus V on upon R on. Okay, fine. So we want this to be 40 milliamperes. So we can say I2 is equal to E in minus V on upon R on plus R dash, which is equal to 0.04. So 0.04 is equal to 100 minus 1.6 upon 30 milliohms. So that is 0.03, 0.03 plus R dash. So which is equal to 98.4 upon R dash plus 0.04. So we have 0.04 R dash plus 0.0012 equal to 98.4. So R dash is 98.4 minus 0.0012 0.04. So 98.4 minus 2.459. So it is 2459.9. 2459.9 ohms, approximately 2460 ohms. So the answer to the second bit is So this is how you solve numericals of this type. Now we go to the next topic, which is very important and interesting.
Sir,
It is called as.
the second part? No, sir.
Pardon?
Sir, can you explain second part?
Yes, the second part involves recalculation of R dash if the SCR is non-ideal. So non-ideal means when the SCR is conducting, it offers a non-zero voltage drop and a non-zero onset resistance. That is why in the first case, that is where SCR is ideal, V on is 0 volt and R on is 30 milliohms. Okay, so we can write a statement here that ideal SCR means it is a ideal switch. That means the on state voltage drop is 0 volt and on state resistance is also 0 ohms. But now we have a non-zero value for V on and R on. Okay, so I have made a statement here that if you are solving a numerical with non-ideal SCR, then when the SCR is assumed to be conducting or latched, you have to replace the SCR not with a short circuit but with a series combination of a battery source V on and R on. So that is what we have done in part B. I have replaced this SCR. So in the previous case, I had replaced the SCR with a short circuit. This is the short circuit. This is the SCR. Okay. This is the SCR during the presence of the firing pulse, and this is the SCR during the presence of firing pulse, but it is the non-ideal SCR. So this is what it is, and it's very simple. It's first year network theorems concept, that here the 100 volt battery is being directly applied across the resistance R dash, and here it is getting applied through a series combination of a voltage source and R on. Okay, so these calculations are very clear and we get the value of R dash is 2460.
40 milliampere?
Pardon?
Sir, why we have considered 40 milliampere?
I told you, na? I told you the condition that the current flowing through SCR must be equal to latching current, which is already given as 50 milliamperes here in the numerical. So till 50 milliamperes current does not flow through this SCR, it will not get latched. That is when the first part also we saw that during the duration of 50 microseconds, the inductor is allowing the current through the branch I1 to increase from 0 to only 10 milliamperes. So while the I1 branch is able to get a value of 10 milliamperes in 50 microseconds pulse duration, then if you still want 50 milliamperes to flow through using simple Kirchhoff's current law at this particular node, simple Kirchhoff's current law at this node indicates that if you want 50 here and 10 is flowing here, then the remaining 40 milliamperes must be carried by R dash. Is it clear? 50 minus 10 is 40.
Sir, why we have considered 40 milliampere in case of second case?
Yeah, because the condition remains, because the condition for SCR latching remains the same. Okay, it remains the same because the pulse duration is not changing. The pulse duration is still 50 microseconds, and because of which this branch will still attain 10 milliamperes only as before. The only difference is that initially SCR is not offering any on-state voltage drop and on-state resistance. Here it is offering. Only this branch is changing, otherwise everything else is remaining the same.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, that is the only reason. Okay, so the value of I1 will remain the same because the pulse duration is remaining the same. Fine. The second topic is interesting and important. It is called as two transistor analogy of an SCR. So analogy is actually also called as equivalent. So we can say it is two transistor equivalent of an SCR. So This particular concept of two-tensor analogy of an SCR will help us understand two things. The first, so I can write down the above concept is used to explain why the SCR suddenly and spontaneously transitions from forward blocking to forward conduction state. So this is not forward biased, this is forward blocking. So usually we have used FB to indicate forward bias and RB for reverse biased. But here when I say FB, it actually means forward blocking, and here it indicates forward conduction, that is quadrant 1 operation. Okay, now this topic is not that easy, so please pay attention. Consider the planar structure of an SCR. If you remember, consider the planar structure of an SCR. So when I say planar structure, it is called as 4-layer structure, or it is also called as pin. So it is P1, N1, P2 and N2, if you remember. Okay, now we will draw it here. So here, for the sake of simplicity and discussion, we will draw all 4 layers to be having equal width. The layer P1, the layer P2, not P2, N1, P1, N1, P2 and N2. Okay. P1, N1, P2, N2. Let us also remember that the anode terminal A is connected to the P1 region and the cathode terminal is connected to N2 region or N2 layer. And here we have the gate connected to the P2 layer. Gate. So here we have anode, cathode and gate. Okay, students, now understand this thing. Just mask the lowest layer N2. I repeat, just mask the 4th layer N2 and you will realize that we are having a PNP transistor consisting of 3 layers, P1, N1 and P2. Okay, so P1, N1 and P2 is one PNP transistor, and now secondly you mask the uppermost layer P1 and you can see that there is another NPN transistor comprising of N1, P2 and N2. So P1, N1, P2 can be seen as a PNP transistor from top to bottom while you mask the 4th layer N2, and you can see an NPN transistor N1, P2 and N2 from bottom to top of the structure if you mask the layer P1. So we are going to break this 4-layer structure into 2 BJT transistors in this way. Okay, so I will just make one mark. So this PNP. So this is my PNP transistor. Okay, let me write it inside. That will be better. Okay. So this is my PNP transistor and this is my NPN transistor. Okay, let me use different colors, right? So PNP is P1, N1 and P2, and this NPN transistor is N, P and N. Let us redraw. Yes, so P1, N1, P2, N1, P2, N2. Okay, so we can write down here that P1, N1, P2 is my PNP transistor and N1, let me write it in a better place. P1, N1, P2 is my PNP transistor and N, P, N is my NPN transistor. Okay, fine. Now transferring the terminals, anode, cathode, connecting N1 to N1, connecting P2 to P2, and here I have my gate IG. Okay, so anode, cathode, gate. Okay, now we are going to replace P1, N1, P2 with the symbol for a PNP transistor. We are going to replace P1, N1, P2 with the symbol for PNP transistor and also replace N1, P2 and N2 with NPN transistor. But students, also please go back to your second year days and understand one thing, that the current directions for NPN and PNP transistor are as follows. So if you are speaking about a PNP transistor, understand this is emitter, collector and base, and the current directions are IE, IC and IB. So in PNP transistor, the collector and base currents leave the collector and base terminals while the emitter current enters into the emitter terminal. But if it is a PNP transistor, sorry, if it's an NPN transistor, understand this, that in case of an NPN transistor, their current directions are completely reversed in this way. So emitter current leaves, collector current enters and base current also enters. Okay, so this is emitter, base and collector. So collector, emitter and base. Okay, yeah, so now we are going to redraw it now. So temporarily I will relocate this thing. So this is my anode terminal A, this is my cathode terminal K, and see here how it is. So understand that fine. So let the PNP transistor be called as the transistor Q1, and let NPN transistor be called as Q2. Okay, let PNP transistor be Q1 and NPN transistor be Q2. Okay, so this is emitter of Q1, base of Q1, collector of Q1. This N2 is emitter of Q2, this is base of Q2, and this is collector of Q2. Okay, so EBC, E1, B1, C1 represent the transistor Q1, and E2, B2 and C2 they represent the transistor Q2. Okay, now see, the base of Q1 is connected to collector of Q2. The collector of Q1 is connected to base of Q2. Okay, so we can write it like this. Okay, so we can write here like this. Base of Q1, it is connected to collector of Q2. And we can say the collector of Q1 is connected to base of Q2. Okay, fine. So we are here. So this is emitter of Q1, collector of Q1, base of Q1, collector of Q2, base of Q2, emitter of Q2. Okay, so E1, B1, C1, E2, B2 and C2. Now let us make the connection. So B1 to C2 connection. So B1 to C2 connection. Okay, so we have connected the base of Q1 to collector of Q2. Similarly, C1 to B2. C1 to B2 is the next connection. Okay, now let us put all the currents. Now see, this is the current entering into the SCR IA, but this also happens to be the emitter current of transistor Q1. And as I have told here, the current directions of PNP and NPN. So here, this is the current IB1, this is the current IC1. Similarly, this is the current IC2. Okay, this is the current IE2, and this is the current IB2. Okay, students, at the same time you remember that if I am going to apply a gate drive to SCR, this will be the current direction of the gate current. So I have to also show the gate terminal like this, and I will write G here. So I have gate, cathode, and I have anode, and the gate currents will be shown as IG. Okay, so we have shown IE1, IB1, IC1, IC2, IE2 and IB2. Now students, understand one thing, that the current IA is equal to IE1. Similarly, understand that the current IE2 is equal to the cathode current here. So IE2 is equal to IK. So all the blue colors are equivalent. So IA is equal to IE1, IE2 is equal to IK, IB1 is equal to IC2, and at the same time there is a Kirchhoff's current law node being formed here. Okay, so we can say that IB2 is equal to IG plus IC1. Similarly, at the externals, if you consider the externals of the device, that is the three terminals, anode, gate and cathode, we can also say that IK is equal to IA plus IG. This is what we can write. Okay, IK is equal to IG plus IA. So now we will write all the current relationships which you just narrated now, and also the basic equations of transistors. Okay, so we can say here, observing the two transistor equivalent of SCR, we can say first, the first observation is IA is equal to IE1. We can say IA is equal to the emitter current of first transistor. Second, I can say that the cathode current IK is equal to IE2. Fine. So IA is equal to IE1 and IK is equal to IE2. At the same time, IB1 is equal to IC2. IB1 is equal to IC2. Also, we can say that IB2 is equal to IG plus, we can say IB2 is equal to IG plus IC1. Okay. Now, we can write the basic equations of a transistor 5. So I can say that the emitter current IE is equal to IB plus IC. You know this. So emitter current is equal to IB plus IC. The second basic equation is IC is equal to alpha IE plus the leakage current ICBO. Right? Now we are having two transistors. So for Q1, I can write down IE1 is equal to IB1 plus IC1. At the same time, I can write down IC1 is equal to alpha 1 IE1 plus ICBO1. Similarly, for the second transistor Q2, I can write down IE2 is equal to IB2 plus IC2. Also, I can write down IC2 is equal to alpha 2 into IE2 plus ICBO2. Okay, so we can say equation number 1 equation 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, one more final observation which we have is the sixth one, is that the cathode current IK is equal to IA plus IG. So equation number 5 and equation number 6. Okay, yeah. Now equation number 7, 8, 9 and 10. Fine. So consider equation number 7, IE1 is IB1 plus IC1. Okay, yeah. So I can now write down from equation number 7, I can say that IE1 is equal to IB1 plus IC1. IC1. Okay, but here from equation number 3, IB1 is equal to IC2. Okay, now I write down from equation number 3, IB1 is equal to IC2. Therefore, I say that IE1 is equal to IC2 plus IC1. Now we know that from equation number 8 and 10 we can replace. So I can say from equation, or we can say substituting. So I can say here equation number 11, substituting 8 comma 10 in equation number 11. Substituting equation number 8 comma 10 in equation 11, I can say IE1 is equal to alpha 2 IE2 plus ICBO2 plus alpha 1 IE1 plus ICBO1. Now the leakage currents are too small, so I can say neglecting ICBO1 comma ICBO2, I can write down IE1 is equal to alpha 2 IE2 plus alpha 1 into I1. Now students, we know from equation number 1 that IA is equal to IE1. So I can say from equation number 1, IE1 is equal to IA. So I can write down IA is equal to alpha 2 into IE2 plus alpha 1 into IA. Now also we have IE2 is equal to IK. So from equation number 2, IE2 equal to IK. Now from equation number 2, IE2 equal to IK. So I can write down IA is equal to alpha 2 into IK plus alpha 1 into IA. Now also in equation number 10, equation number 6, I have put IK is equal to IA plus IG. From equation number 6, IK is equal to IA plus IG. So now finally we can write down IA is alpha 2 into IA plus IG plus alpha 1 into IA. So we can just write down like this is equal to alpha 2 into IA plus alpha 1 into IA plus alpha 2 into IG, which is equal to IA into alpha 1 plus alpha 2 plus alpha 2 into IG. Now changing the sides, we can write down IA into 1 minus alpha 1 plus alpha 2 is equal to alpha 2 into IG. Therefore, I can write down finally the anode current IA is equal to alpha 2 into IG upon 1 minus alpha 1 plus alpha 2. Okay. So this equation, equation number 12, what does it tell? It tells that IA, that when alpha 1 plus alpha 2 will tend to unity, then IA will tend to infinity. Okay. So alpha 1 is actually the common base configuration current gain of transistor Q1, and alpha 2 is the common base configuration current gain of transistor Q2. Okay, so basically this is called as regenerative feedback. So if Ig increases, Ib2 increases. When Ib2 increases, IC2 increases. When IC2 increases, IB1 increases. And when IB1 increases, IA increases, right? So we can say here, last but not the least, when we apply gate drive, Ig increases, then it leads to IB2 increasing. So Ig2 increases, IB2 increases, IB2 increases, IC2 increases, IC2 increases, then IB1 increases, IB1 increases. When IB1 increases, IE1 increases, and IE1 is nothing but IA increases. So students, this concept which I have written here is called as regenerative feedback. The SCR ultimately latches because of regenerative feedback action. Fine. Another interpretation is there. There are some more conclusions which we can derive. That will take next time.